Sadly, it has turned out to be a false dawn. The actors may have changed with the removal of Robert Mugabe and some of his henchmen, but the script has remained the same, if not worse. And I find that pretty horrific, because we did see such dreadful things, and now it seems like all of that is happening. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we can't ignore what is happening, and I'm very pleased that the Minister did call in the Zimbabwean ambassador here, and I'm sure she'll tell us more about that. And I think we have to use our position where we can to influence and work with the South African government, the Botswana government, and I know there's an African conference coming up in the next week or two. I don't know whether the Minister's going to that. But I think we have to be very clear that we are calling for the end of the deployment of the military. They have to go back into their barracks. We have to get the United Nations to say that, and to make a very strong statement on the rule of law. We've got to get a complete, absolute condemnation of the way that the citizens' internet access was closed down. And I think we need to be calling for an independent investigation of the human rights violations to be led by the African Union or the United Nations. And we have to get to who gave the orders. It was the same with the people that were killed just after the election. We never really got to the bottom of who'd given the orders, and the sort of kind of investigation actually ended up being a bit of a whitewash. So we need to get that, which the Commission of Inquiry in the post-2018 elections did not actually get to the bottom of it. And I think we have to be very clear, and the United Kingdom government has to be very clear, that the international community should completely suspend any initiatives relating to re-engaging with the Zimbabwean government. It is unacceptable, in my view, to be even talking about debt restructuring and private sector investment while so many Zimbabwean civilians are being assaulted and killed. And I think, ultimately, the sanctions we've got now are very little, and I'm not suggesting that we go back to necessarily sanctions, because sanctions have certainly after the feeling that there was going to be some hope for change, sanctions were simply another way of the Zimbabwean government saying, oh, the world doesn't like us, and look, if it's only these sanctions that are causing all the difficulties. Of course, there aren't sanctions now, so they can't say that. But we may have to look at reviewing sanctions, particularly the kind of travel thing. I mean, Mnangagwa got a special. I'm not into aircraft, but it was one of the top planes that you could hire to go off on his trip. Cost thousands and thousands of dollars while there's no medicines in the hospitals. And we can't allow someone like Mnangagwa. He actually he didn't go to Davos. He left, he went off and sidetracked, because I think he knew that if he'd gone to Davos, he would have got huge criticism even there. So we are seeing crimes against humanity. Senator David Coulthard, who many of you know in this place, has made it very clear that they are actually crimes against humanity, and that they're still being committed. We've got to get engaged very strongly, I think, with South Africa and Botswana, as I said. We've got to demand that the South African government, ask the South African government to really engage. We haven't seen the criticism that could have come from South Africa, and South Africa are absolutely